What's up guys, this is Eddie, welcome to the new video. 5 DPS, let's go. Alright, first thing first, we're gonna look at the gear, base mods, artifacts, and skill points. So for the gear, I am 331 maxed out CR, my base might is 86,600, and the white mods we're using Blaster Doctor for weapon, new NM supercharged, boost 3 for head, escalating might for neck, berserker for back, and penetrating strikes for chest, restorative overheat for legs, maximum damage for hands, dashing combos for feet, and this is only for super speed. So if you're not super speed, you can't get dashing combos, but we'll get to it in a while. For artifacts, we are using transformation card, strategist card, and Grimorium. So transformation card and strategist card, make sure they're maxed out 200, because when they're maxed out they actually get benefit from each other and you get more damage out of it. As far as the Grimorium is concerned, we're using it for power interaction. As you can see, it says right there, fire and munitions burn. So we're getting the burn power interaction out of the Grimorium, and it does, extra damage on the side. For the base mods, here they are. I'm using all might, and you can replace the health with power if you're not a tank, so go with power. But since I am also working on my tank right now, so I am using health mods. Looking at the skill points, since I said this is going to be a kind of hybrid loadout, so I am using brawling, full spec, and into weapon mastery for martial arts. So brawling into shuriken. Under super speed, we need to get whirling dervish, so unlock all these. Under iconic powers, you need robot sidekick, neo venom boost, and heat vision. For stat points, we're gonna be spec for super powered, critical attack chance, critical attack damage, and everything else in might and power. And if you have extra skill points, put that in precision. And some people are at 500, so that would be 126 precision. That's pretty good. Now let's look at the loadout. So since we are using Grimorium, that means we do not need any power which burns the enemy, so we can go straight up for powers like this. Spontaneous combustion is a burst damage, and it does damage your target and the target nearby. And if the enemy is burning already, it will take additional damage. Fire burst is a channeling power, and it's vulnerable to interrupt, so be careful with that. Same thing, burst damage and burning enemies take additional damage. Mass detonation, burst damage, channeling power, same thing, burning enemies take additional damage and a knockdown. And wildfire, burst damage again for all the AOE enemies, and burning enemies take additional damage. Robot sidekick and volcanic calamity. But the thing is, with this volcanic supercharge, you can also replace it with neo venom boost depending on the situation. So if you have more than 6 adds and you are like elite raid, they're gonna die super slow, use this. It does great damage. But if the raid is really fast, say FGS, and the adds die pretty quick, go for neo venom boost. So these two you can replace. Now the rotation is simple, 1 2 3 4. And in between we can do brawling into shuriken, and I like to do it with brawling into shuriken into spontaneous combustion. So let's look at the rotation. So 115k for mid-range, it's actually pretty good. with some 104Ks and some lower than that. As I said, fire is really inconsistent, so it's gonna go really high and then really low, but don't worry about it, it balances out. So this is the AOE mid-range loadout. Now let's look at the AOE full range loadout. So for AOE long range, everything is same, but the only thing we changed is we changed Grimorium with solar amplifier. So the might is now 88,022 and everything else is same, speculation is same. So looking at the powers, what we're going to do is we're going to keep everything same, except we're going to change fire burst with heat vision. We're going to put it in, we're going to put it in the first place. So now the loadout is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So now this is like full range. Okay, let's say raids like the new latest raid, elite raid, and your second boss, you have to be completely like full ranged. So this is how you're gonna do it. So you're not gonna use this loadout that much compared to the mid range. You'll be using mid range pretty much all the time. But if you have to do it, this is how you do it. It's good damage, but not as good as mid range. So let's look at the rotation. As you can see, it's only 101k with full range maximum, and as compared to the mid range that was 115k, so that's a huge difference, to be honest. So go for mid range as much as possible, but be careful. But if you really have to go full range, this is the loadout. Now moving on to melee DPS. For melee DPS, the setup is almost the same, but the artifacts are a little bit different. So we are going to be using Lernia's amulet, and instead of heat vision or Grimorium, everything else is same. Transformation card, strategist card, specs are the same. Amulet is basically, it increases your might by 2% per stack or 3% per stack depending on what level artifact you are. Mine is 160, and the stacks goes up to 10 for 6 seconds. But the problem with amulet is when you are, even as your stacks up, you're gonna be getting damage out of it, so you can die, and unless you use your finisher. But we are not going to be using a finisher. So let's quickly look at the skill points. Everything is same. I'm still spec for brawling, but again, same thing. This is going to be a little bit of hybrid loadout. So if you can get one-handed and get this flurry, you will be doing extra good damage. But since I am brawling and I have brawling weapon, I'll be using this for melee. And the loadout is, here we go. So the loadout is Inferno. This burns the enemy. Since we're not using Grimorium, we have to use the power interaction. This is damage over time. Stoke Flame, since you will be really up close to the enemies, they're gonna burn the enemies as well, and this is gonna burn the enemies as well, and it's also damage over time. Number 3 is Whirling Dervish. This is super speed, iconic power, and if you're not super speed, you can change it to fire burst, but I recommend using Whirling Dervish and switching to super speed. It's really good, and it actually helps with a lot of other powers as well. So Whirling Dervish, since we are using the dashing combo over here, do not look at my inventory, I know it's messed up. So dashing combo, tap melee to perform a dash attack. So after doing Whirling Dervish, if you do this, you tap melee and it goes forward. So you can clip that with number 4 power, which is Flashpoint. So it's a burst damage and to nearby close enemies. So dashing combo, clip your forward with Flashpoint. So this is the loadout. Robot Sidekick, we're not using Snuff Out. Snuff Out is the finisher. I will show you that as well. But first, let's look at this rotation and see how much damage we do. So as I said before, for Amulet, you need to keep your stats up for maximum might, and then in between we do precision, weapon melee damage, 111. $121. And it's gonna be lower now. Oh, 112. Okay, it's not bad. So 121k for melee with amulet, and in between weapon damage, you, like I said, you should use one-handed. 116. Don't forget to use the dashing combo. $122. So yeah, it's actually pretty good with amulet, only for melee though. You can't use it for range, it doesn't work with fire that good. And this is it. Let's try it without robot sidekick, and we're gonna change it to snuff out, which is the finisher, which will heal you back when you are about to die, and using amulet. So let's say you don't have a healer in your group and you're doing some dailies, or you are just spamming bounty or something. So you're gonna replace the robot sidekick with snuff out. It's gonna heal you back, but you have to be very careful. And every time you will use snuff out, you will cancel the amulet stacks, might stacks. So that means you can get up to like 2 or 3 stacks maybe, and then you will have to use it, otherwise you will die. So let's test that out. As you can see, if you lose the amulet stacks, you lose the damage. So 108k highest when you try to heal yourself. So it's better to get your stacks up as high as possible, and use the robot sidekick instead of snuff out. Don't use a finisher, and run with a healer. That's about it. But if you really have to, yeah, sure, go with that. Alright, for single target, same, everything is same, but we are using solar amplifier, transformation card, and strategist card. And other than that, might is 88,022, just like before. Specs are the same. Weapon, brawling, super speed, same thing. You don't have to get this. You can save skill points. I am just lazy, so I didn't spec for it. Same thing, and same as before. For loadout, here's the thing, there are many other loadouts online, and some people are doing really good with those. I am doing really good with this. So the reason I am using this loadout is because there are situations like first boss in the latest raid, where you're fighting Trigon, or the last boss in the latest raid. So where there's not only just boss, there's also some adds. So this loadout works for me because I can do multiple, I can do hybrid damage. So the first one is Inferno, same thing, damage over time, burns the enemy. Spontaneous combustion, it's a burst damage, burning enemies take additional damage. Heat vision, combined with your solar amplifier, burns the enemy, damage over time, also burst damage, and also burns the enemies nearby if you have your solar amplifier maxed out. Fourth, absorb heat, and burning enemies take additional damage, and it also heals you a little bit over time, but it's vulnerable to interrupt. And second thing, the reason I use this instead of snuff out, you're stuck at one place. With absorb it, you can move a little bit. Fifth is overheat, it basically do damage over time on your target, and if the other enemies are close to your target, they will also get damage over time. So let's say I put this on my boss and there are ads now, so the tank pulls all the ads towards the boss, so now all the ads are going to get damaged too. So let's look at the rotation. So maximum 61,000, averaging about 50-55k, and you know, sometimes down to 30k, sometimes around 45k, but 61,000 maximum. I can get around 64k out of it as well if I keep going. The thing is, with powers like gadgets and with powers like hardlight, on sparring target you can do up to 80k, 90k, but for fire it's not showing up the damage on sparring target, but in real life, in the real situation for raids and alert, it is actually really good. So just try it out and trust me on that. So this is it for fire, guys. I'm working on my tank nowadays also, so once it's a little bit ready I will put up a fire tanking video as well, so look up for that. If you have any suggestion or any kind of comment, just comment in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Once again, before you go into a raid, keep your supercharge up, buff up. People say that don't buff up while using nitros in regular raids or, you know, raids or whatever. Don't listen to them. Buff up your DPS. You're supposed to kill stuff faster, so use everything you have got. Use your trinkets, use a supply drop, use your orbitals, use whatever you can, and keep your supercharge up all the time. And also one more thing, line of sight. So powers like fire burst, you have to make sure that it is hitting all the enemies, not just one or two ads. So keep these things in mind and you will do great damage. Yeah, that's it. So I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you later.